If you're angry in your world, I want to share 5 things with you that you can do that are going to radically change your experience of yourself and of the world around you. So this is a topic that I feel especially equipped to talk about because for a long time in my life, I was an angry, frustrated, irritable person. In fact, I was back home in Green Bay, Wisconsin. When was this? Last year for my father's funeral. And a dear friend of mine from high school came to our wake, I guess it was, or the celebration or the gathering after the funeral. And it was a very tender experience. And it was amazing talking to her because we hadn't talked in maybe 10 years or something. And I don't know how we got on this subject, but we were talking about how I was. I think she was talking about how I seemed really different or something. And, I'm a monk now, for starters, but I've also done a lot of transformational work. And she said something about like, oh yeah, like when you were in a bad mood, no, we didn't want to talk to you. And I was like, what? What do you mean? I had no idea. Now, I was a pretty angsty teenager. And little backstory, I was drinking and smoking weed most nights of the week from my sophomore until my second year in college for like 5 years. So I did a lot of drug abuse and a lot of acting out, a lot of drinking. And I was a very reckless young person. It's a miracle that I didn't hurt someone or myself. Anyway, all this to say, I was not in a good place for all those years. And she told me that I was a very frustrated, irritable person. And I was like, God. And my first thought was, why didn't you say anything? But of course, it's hard to say something to someone who's naturally always irritable or irritable a lot because they're so defensive, it's not going to go in. Like, why try? So I've been that way for a very long time. And I think my friends, my family would still probably say that I can be that way. And it's something I'm practicing around being open, being less defensive, being soft, being vulnerable, and being more comfortable with myself, essentially. So here are the 5 things that if you practice these, or if you know someone who can be this way, if they practice them, even one of these 5 things, it can make and it will make a real difference in having them be a better person and having you be a better person. So the first thing, this is the thing that I teach everybody that I work with or that I talk to around how to navigate an uncomfortable emotion, is accept it. What I mean by that is that we make space inside of ourselves through patience and compassion around accepting whatever experience we're having. So with anger and irritation, oh my gosh, this is probably the most important part of this, all these 5 steps. If I can just take the space to say, I'm really pissed right now, and not saying it to anybody else, just my relationship with myself, right? I am really pissed and irritable right now, right? And taking some breaths and just accepting that this is an experience that I'm having. Just that will start to unlock that the emotion has on our psyche and on our physical experience, right? So the more that I can just accept I'm having this emotional experience, it's very uncomfortable. I don't like it on some level. Even if we like feeling angry, it's a little bit of a separate issue. But if we like feeling angry, and we don't want to feel it at the same time, which is often a subconscious conflict that a lot of us experience in our lives. If we can just accept, I'm really feeling this way and it's okay. I'm feeling this and it's okay. That will start a cascade opportunity of transformation to occur inside of us. So the first thing is accept that we're having that experience. Secondly, just know, we don't have to explore, but know there is something else happening there. Now, in the world of psychology, I don't like this slogan at all. In fact, no, I don't hate a lot of things, but this might be something I really don't appreciate. This slogan that anger is a secondary emotion. If you hear anybody say that, do something about saying it's not, because it's not true, actually. Can it be? Yes. But you know what? Every emotion can be a secondary emotion. Sadness can cover anger. Jealousy can cover rage. Anything can be a secondary emotion. And people, I think, say that because they are intimidated about anger. And it's a condescending, controlling way to get people to not be angry, right? I don't appreciate it at all. So all this to say, there can be something more to the anger. And it always rests in the fact that we're not feeling safe. Anytime there's an emotion that we think is unhelpful and that is constricting or contracting or that has us feel kind of this way, It's having us not feel safe on a core level. So just know that there's probably something else happening here when we're angry or irritable or defensive, or when someone else is even, right? There's something else probably happening. It's not that important right then to find out what it is, but just to know for ourselves in this case, there's probably something else happening here, and I'm going to soften despite that, right? It's okay. It's all right. I'm going to focus on softening more and more and more. Okay, third thing, who is this toward? Who's the anger toward? It's probably towards someone or something else out there. So practice owning this is really just about me. Nothing out there is making me angry. This is a response that I am subconsciously or consciously choosing to have about the situation. The more this is a pretty confronting principle, I would say, especially if I would have heard this from someone like me like 15 years ago or so. I would have been like, screw you. No, it's not. It's definitely about that person doing that thing to me. I wouldn't feel angry if this thing wouldn't have happened, right? Which is true. And it's all, even though there is something out there that provides a compelling reason to feel a certain way, we still have an ability to choose. When we bring the subconscious to the conscious and bring our awareness to something, we can choose how we react or respond to whatever that is. It is a principle of life. We always have that choice to make. So if it's happening out there, who's it toward or what's it about? Fine. Know that one, I can do something differently. And two, this is one of the best shortcuts I've ever found or discovered to diffusing something that I have about something out there, like a reaction that I have to someone, like when I'm blaming someone or saying I wouldn't be experiencing this unless that was happening. How can I be like that? How can I act like that person out there? How do I have the experience of, let's say I feel like someone's judging me, or someone cuts me off in traffic, or someone does something pretty unpleasant to me. How can I be like that in my life? I can't. And I dare to say that everyone on the planet can be every certain way they see out there. People that abhor violence, I can almost guarantee you that they are violent with themselves on an emotional level. Right? If we're not doing it outside, we're probably doing it inside. There are a few people on the planet I think this is an exception for, and those are enlightened masters. I think everyone else, because I've met a fair amount of people in my life, I dare say millions, if we're talking about micro interactions and strangers, but I've also worked with thousands of people, and every person I've ever met has had every quality inside of them. Violence, jealousy, hatred, loathing, depression, anxiety. I mean, all these things, they all live inside of us until we get to a certain degree of transformation, which is what we call enlightenment. So how can I be that way? If I'm not that way anywhere outside the world, which I'd be hard pressed to believe, but even if that's true, we are almost always, maybe there's an exception that exists, like that way with myself, right? That'll have us soften. If I'm judging or reacting to something out there, how can I be like that? I'll ask myself this question in day-to-day life. Okay, that was really upsetting. Or like, what the hell? Why would they do that? How can I be like that? You know what? I can. Now, that, again, is a courageous way of taking on the world I think most people can't do. And if you're watching these videos, I dare say that you can do that. And it will make a huge difference in your life. It is, fourth thing, it is about me, you. It's not about them out there, right? Take the focus off of what they did and put the focus on how I am responding, how you are responding. Put the focus and spend your energy looking at yourself, not examining or talking about what they did out there, why the world is a terrible place, why those people out there always act this way, or this community or that subsection of people, how they're always that way. Don't waste your energy talking about that with other people or ruminating it for yourself, because we can't control them. We can't dictate what they do. In some ways, we actually can through the power of transforming ourselves. I talk about this a lot. If we create an inner world that is strong and powerful and unshakable, our outer circumstances change. It's fascinating. And things we can't control people, right? We are not puppets. We can't make people do certain things, no matter who we are on the inside. So spend our energy looking at and transforming ourselves and bettering ourselves, not on complaining around what's happening out there. And the fifth thing is soften into the world. Meaning, practice being courageous, which for me, the definition of being courageous is being vulnerable in the face of fear, right? So how can I be open? How can I soften in myself and go into my world, practicing those 4 other things, accepting the thing, knowing that there's something more, who is this towards, and owning it. And 4th, it's about me, not about them. And then softening and going into my world. If you practice these 5 things and you're irritable or you're angry, and you start to relate to other people who are irritable and angry in this way and give them compelling reasons to soften, their life is going to completely transform. I assure you. All my best to you.